Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm your coach, your host, David On Point. Hopping right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, you've come to the right place. We go live basically every single day, bringing the most up-to-date content. I've also shared the StreamYard link to all of the places, including the main Prime Sports World Facebook page. So continue checking us out over there. If you want to join us to talk a little NFL action, that link is in the main Prime Sports World Facebook page. And also, please like, share, and subscribe to us on Facebook. Please like, share, and subscribe to us on Facebook. You can on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube at the exact same place as you can on Facebook. Prime Sports World on YouTube. Please go over there and like and share and subscribe. All of these videos that appear on our Facebook page are over there on the YouTube page as well. So continue checking that stuff out. And today, we are giving you our Prime Sports World games of the week for week number 7. And TJ, I am excited to get into this. That is for sure, my friend. If you had to just like look at the overview for what these matchups are for week number 7, what's just like some of the storylines that kind of stand out to you before we get into each individual matchup? Kind of as an overview.
As an overview, all that glitters ain't gold. You got teams out there that's winning, but there's still rumblings about unhappy players and whatnot and everything. You got a team like the Jets that's coming off a big win against Green Bay, and they have a disgruntled wide receiver who has requested a trade today. All right, so just because everybody's winning, just because you win, don't mean you're happy. All right, and yeah, I expect that trend to continue.
I mean, anytime you have a team, especially if a team overachieves, sometimes the players that aren't involved in the overachieving, who thought they would be, kind of get upset. Let's move on into the first game of week number 7. We got Mr. Matthew James's game. He's got the Kansas City Chiefs. I gotta fix that. God dang it! I will fix that. Just give me one real quick second. Yeah, I updated this graphic. So I got the Kansas City Chiefs going into Levi Stadium and taking on the San Francisco 49ers. The Kansas City Chiefs are 4-2. They're averaging 30 points a game. They're allowing 25 points a game. They're players on offense. You know the usual suspects: Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Kelce, Orlando Brown Jr., Juju Smith-Schuster, who had his best game of the season last week against the Buffalo Bills. And then key players on defense, you also know these names: Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Justin Reed, Nick Bolton. Going into Levi Stadium, taking on the San Francisco 49ers, coming off a pretty deflating loss against the Atlanta Falcons. They're now 3-3. They're scoring 20 points a game. They're allowing 15. Key players on offense: Jimmy Garoppolo, Jeff Wilson, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Aaron Banks plays left guard for them, by the way. Key players on defense: Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, Trey Greenlaw, and Tre'Davious Ward, the former Kansas City Chief. This is the first time these two teams have played in a game that wasn't the Super Bowl since the Super Bowl game that, the San Francisco 49ers could have won if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't overthrow Emmanuel Sanders. It's something I talk about all the time.
Isn't Tre'Davious Ward out? Did he tear his ACL against Carolina?
I will have to double check that because he was still on the depth chart the last time I checked it. But I will dive into that in a second right now while you break down. So give me some analysis.
Obviously, starting with the San Francisco 49ers, obviously, we already know, they're better than a touchdown difference between them and their opponents. But if you would have told me when we started this thing that two of the 3 of their losses would come from the lowly Falcons and the Bears, I'd be like, yeah, no, it's not happening. No way.
So Tre'Davious Ward did not tear his ACL. He's dealing with some sort of groin injury. Trent Williams actually practiced this today, and Nick Bosa also practiced again today. So just replace Tre'Davious Ward, who probably won't play in this game, with Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa, whichever Bosa they got.
Nick Bosa. Jesus Christ, you are terrible.
I mean, they're like the same age. They
are not the same age. They're
like 2 years apart.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are, dude. They're not that much. Their age difference is pretty close in age.
That's
anyways.
Come on, dude. Anyway, the Chiefs are coming off of not a heartbreaking loss to the Buffalo Bills. We're kind of, what's his name? Colin Cowherd broke down it was actually a good one. He broke down what the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills like. He broke down what that quote unquote rivalry is now. This isn't a who has the better team rivalry. This is a who has the ball last rivalry. Right? You legit, when the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs play, it's gonna be a full 60 minutes of action. The game's not over until the legit clock hits 0 and a tackle and some kind of stop is made for it to be over. Right, because even when Buffalo got that touchdown, right, everybody was saying they left too much time for Pat Mahomes.
Even though it was only 13 seconds, it was still too much time. Or 12.
And then the game they played last Sunday, they scored up. They left too much time for Pat Mahomes. They left more time. They left a minute and whatever for Pat Mahomes, and it took an interception to end the game. And it's okay, that's what that matchup is going to be from this point on.
100%.
I also think that no, I don't. I don't think their defense is better than giving up 25 points a game, because their offense is just that high powered, right? You're going into a game where it's you're not going to be able to outscore. It's rare that you're going to be able to outscore the Kansas City Chiefs. It's rare.
Extremely rare.
All right, so this game is obviously I get why Matt picked it. Like you said, it's their first matchup since the Super Bowl, right? And depending on who you ask, Jimmy G overthrew him. Some say Emmanuel Sanders should have went Superman and laid it out for the ball.
You for sure overthrew him. I mean, come on. Let's not throw the shade at Emmanuel Sanders here. That's a throw you have to. That's a throw you have to make.
No,
you can't expect your wide receiver to make a Superman dive.
No, but I'm just saying
hit him in the hands, make a good throw.
I'm just saying though, in the moment, Super Bowl, lay it out. You lay it out all on the line. Make a better throw. I'm not disagreeing with you. I literally said, depending on who you ask, Jimmy G overthrew him. Some say Manuel Sanders should have went Superman and laid out for the ball. It is what it is. Either way, it's an incomplete pass and they lost the game.
It's true.
Getting Nick Bosa back is going to be huge.
Yep.
Getting Nick Bosa back is going to be because you need to create that pressure on Pat Mahomes, right? Like you're literally coming off a game where Von Miller single-handedly impacted a game against the Kansas City Chiefs. He had 6 quarterback pressures by himself, and he doesn't have an Eric Armstead and a whatever across the defensive line. In
Fred Warner. Right? I mean, yeah.
Right. So like you got Von Miller and Ed Oliver, and you trying to figure out what you have in Greg Rousseau and everybody else. This San Francisco 49ers, a bunch of their pass rushers, obviously not named Nick Bosa, will probably be key pass rushers on most teams.
Yeah, I mean, Kinlaw is probably going to play in this game. He should be back.
So if they can collapse the pocket, if they can collapse Pat Mahomes' pocket and take away, because like you got the linebackers to match up against Travis Kelce, right? That Fred Warner and Travis Kelce, that's going to be a battle. That's going to be a battle.
Along with Trey Greenlaw, I mean, this is a running back. This is a linebacker core that can match up with Travis Kelce for sure.
This is going to be a battle all day long. But at the end of the day, it comes down to who's the better quarterback, and Pat Mahomes is better than Jimmy G. So I'm taking 49. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs by a touchdown.
I'm also rolling with the Kansas City Chiefs, but I do think this will be an entertaining football game. I wish this game was on prime time. I don't necessarily need to see the Chicago Bears or Miami Dolphins or the Patriots or the Steelers on primetime football. I just don't. Moving on to there from the CEO, Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Vera's game of the week. He's got the Cleveland Browns going into Baltimore and taking on the Ravens. Cleveland 2-4, coming off that loss to the New England. No. You know what? I cannot remember. They're 2-4. They're 25 points per game, 27 points allowed. Their moment players on offense: Jacoby Brissett, Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Cedric Wills Jr., Donovan Peoples-Jones is the wide receiver, number 2. Key players on defense: Myles Garrett, Greg Newsome II, John Johnson III, and Grant Delpit. And then on the Ravens side of this, 3-3, 26 points per game. They're allowing basically 24 points a game. They're key players on offense. You know the usual suspects: Lamar Jackson, Kenyon Drake, Mark Andrews, Devin Duvernay, Morgan Moses, Ronnie Stanley, who played in his first game last week in like 2 years. So good to see him back on the football field. J.K. Dobbins was limited in practice, so I don't know how much he's actually going to play. Key players on defense, obviously Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Patrick Queen, and Chuck Clark. Marcus Williams, the big name free agency they signed in the offseason, is hurt in this game and probably won't play.
Mm-hmm. All right, so obviously I'm start with the heavyweight power in this, man. That's Baltimore. Everybody wants to rip on Lamar for his fourth quarter performances, and I'm not seeing enough blame given to that defense because Lamar Jackson obviously does enough to give that defense big leads, right? 21 point lead against the Dolphins, 17 points. If I'm like, you want to look at Lamar Jackson and be like, hey, you got to close out these games. Lamar Jackson could very easily and be real petty and be like, nah, bro, I did my job. I gave the defense
double-digit leads in three games that they lost so far this season. They've had a double-digit lead going into the fourth quarter, and they've lost all 4 games, all 3 games.
I did my job, right? Why y'all ain't holding them accountable? It's Pro Bowlers on their defense, just like it's Pro Bowlers and All Pros on their defense, just like it is on this offense.
I mean, you can make the argument there might be more talented on the defensive side of the football than the offensive side. I mean, outside of Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews,
I don't think that's close.
I mean, Ronnie Stanley's been out of the lineup. Morgan Moses has just signed a free agency. Like this is a patchwork offense for the Baltimore Ravens for sure. I mean, Kenny and Drake's on the graphic. Kenny Drake wasn't even a member of the Baltimore Ravens when the season started.
They're dusting off Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson, I think his goal for the rest of his life is to just get signed by an NFL team every season for the rest of his life.
So they're dusting off Deshaun Jackson, right? So yeah, if I'm Lamar Jackson, I could but he ain't gonna do that because he's not that type of guy. He also, again, a lot is at stake for him, so it's not a good look if he in the contract year if he comes out and says I'm doing my job. No, the defense has to be better. basically throwing them, because that can be misconstrued as him throwing them under the bus and yada yada woo woo. And again, they're looking for any reason to not pay him. Right? They are looking for
Yeah.
any reason to not pay him. And if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I don't get why you're not paying him, because the guy has done stuff for you that you haven't had out of the quarterback position one ever, and since what's his name, Flacco was good, and Flacco was good for like 3 years, and then it was mediocre Flacco for the rest of that.
It's true. I mean, Joe Flacco was really good for one season. The rest of his career has been very mediocre at best, and they paid him. I mean, he was coming off a Super Bowl victory, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. I think the more interesting thing is on the Cleveland side of this. I mean, this offense has been a little bit stagnant over the last couple of weeks. They've kind of fallen apart here a little bit. Jacoby Brissett has really not played well the last few weeks. So I think they're on a 2-game losing streak now, losing a game against the Patriots and the game before that against Atlanta, I think, or they lost the Atlanta Chargers and the Patriots in some order. Those 3 games. Jacoby Brissett hasn't been good. Nick Chubb is their only viable offensive weapon. They traded for Amari Cooper. They're basically wasting him too. But yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett is putting up really good numbers on a team that's not very good. This is going to be a tough game for Cleveland to stop Lamar Jackson in that offense, when this offense on the Cleveland side is really not bringing much to the table, if anything at all.
Nah, and obviously, it's a different story if what's his name is playing, Deshaun Watson's playing, but his name keeps getting, like, women keep coming forward with him, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. He's already suspended this season. I doubt because more women come forward, they can't add to the suspension because it's already the
Yeah,
current.
I think it's all being litigated. I would be shocked if he played this season, to be honest with you.
After missing what, 11 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be eligible to return until week 13, and by then,
because they got a bye. They bye week is week 12, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yep. So he will be eligible to return until that game against Houston, week number 13, and he may have an added incentive to just play in that game, just to play in that game. But yeah, I would be shocked if he played. This is Cleveland. I mean, this is the roster you put together. You thought you were going to be, potentially a title favorite, and this is kind of being a lost season for the Cleveland Browns. On the Baltimore side, yeah, I agree with you. This is the engine goes as Lamar takes them, because the defense can't hold the lead. Lamar Jackson's going to have to do everything for this team right now, everything.
Yeah, and
I'm taking the Ravens to win the game.
I saw an interesting stat. Mark Andrews has taken, I think it was either 127 or 147 snaps this season. He has been asked to pass block 0 times. So when Mark, when Mark Andrews is on the field, already know he's running the route. He is not.
I mean, he's their best offensive weapon for sure.
Outside of Lamar Jackson, he's their best receiver for sure.
To Christian's game of the week, he's got the Indianapolis Colts going into Tennessee, into Nissan Stadium, and trying to get over the hump there. We got the Tennessee. Tennessee's won the last 4 matchups between these two teams. Indianapolis coming off that victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Titans coming off their bye week. Colts 3-2-1. 17 points per game, 20 points allowed. Matt Ryan, Michael Pittman Jr., Quentin Nilsson, Ryan Kelly, Naheem Hines. Jonathan Taylor should play in this game, so look for him to be back on the football field. Key players on defense: Kwity Paye, Kenny Moore II, Stephon Gilmore, and Nick Cross. Tennessee, 3-2, 19.2 points per game. They're allowing 24 points a game. Key players on offense: Ryan Tannehill, the King, Derrick Henry, Robert Woods, Jeff Swaim, Ben Jones, and Dennis Daly, who plays left tackle now that Khalid Alwan is done for the season. And then key players on defense: Jeffrey Simmons, Roger McCreary, Monty Hooker, and Kevin Bynard, who might be the best safety in the NFL.
Yeah, it's he in that conversation.
Sure, 100%.
I think, what was it, last season? I dubbed the Tennessee Titans like underrated everything, because they're especially on their defense. Like, Harold Landry is underrated as a pass rusher. Same thing with Jeffrey Simmons. Kevin Byard's underrated as a safety.
Yeah, I agree with you on all of those points. I mean, ain't wrong.
They're just underrated across the board, and this is, again, like when we started the season, I think the first few games, right, everybody was hyping the Jags because the Jags were in first for like the first time since probably like the Saxonville year. So that's,
100%.
So it's like, watch out for the Jags, and we're just like, nah.
Yeah, they for sure have come back down to earth. But the Colts have looked good the last couple weeks. You know, they got coming off 2 really good wins against the Kansas City Chiefs and then beating the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Actually, I think there's a game in Denver as well. 3 games in a row that they've won. So you gotta feel good, I guess, if you're an Indianapolis Colts fan. This kind of team might be turning it around a little bit. You know, Matt Ryan's been asked to do a lot at his elderly age. I think he's like 37 now. He's asked me to throw a football a ton. He probably didn't expect that when he got there. But now, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's going to be back. I mean, this is a defense on Tennessee that's not all that good, especially in the secondary, especially in the front 7 without Harold Landry there now. And, you know, Rashad Evans is no longer there playing linebacker for this team. I could see a scenario where the Colts get up early and they just kind of close the door on the Titans, because I also don't love their offense. I don't. Robert Woods is their best receiver, but that's not saying a lot.
Yeah. I said it last week when they played the Jags and you had Matt Ryan throw the ball 58 times. I'm like, no, dude.
Yeah.
I get it. Jonathan Taylor's not there. Naheem Hines is not there, but you still got what's his name, Phillip Lindsay, and a bevy of other running backs. Like, you can at least keep the defense honest, right? Because at no point in time were you out of that game to the point where it's like, all right, just completely abandon the run game. Like, let's just leave it alone, right? I guarantee, even if the Tennessee Titans were without Derrick Henry, right, you still have Hassan Haskins. I know he's a rookie, but you have him.
And Dontre Hilliard is still on this roster as a good player.
And I guarantee they are not. If Derrick Henry was not playing, the Tennessee Titans would just not out, just completely abandon their bread and butter, right? Because that's basically all they have. No AJ Brown, like that's literally all they have.
Well, 100%. Yeah, no doubt.
But as long as Shaq Leonard isn't there to kind of slow down Derrick Henry, because I think in terms of going sideline to sideline, Shaq Leonard is one of the best to do that. And as long as he's not there, you're asking somebody else to do that. And if I'm Derrick Henry, once I get to the second level, that's already 5 yards. I don't have to break it. I'm doing my job.
Yep. I mean, Derrick Henry's, I think it's going to be a big part. I expect Derrick Henry to have a really good game here. I just don't think it'll be enough to beat the Colts. I think the Colts are clicking right now. I got the Colts winning this game. The Titans are just a mess. I don't really love their defense. I don't love their offense. I know they've been winning games, but I'm not a Titans fan for this particular season.
And we kind of saw that, like, if the Colts can make the Titans throw the ball, like if they can make Ryan Tannehill throw the ball, this receiving core, you know, I'm not losing sleep over that. So, like, Stephon Gilmore, I'm throwing him on Robert Woods out the gate. That pretty much neutralizes him.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else, y'all got it. Y'all got it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Moving on. I'm taking the Colts. Who are you picking on this game?
Because of Derrick Henry, I'm taking the Titans.
Moving on to TJ's game of the week, and he's not a homer at all. Chicago Bears going into Foxborough, taking on the New England Patriots. Chicago Bears 2-4, 16 points per game, points allowed basically 20. Key players on offense: Justin Fields, David Montgomery, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, Larry Borum, and Braxton Jones. That's the left and the right tackle, if you did not know, for the Chicago Bears. Key players on defense: Robert Quinn, Eddie Jackson, Kyler Gordon. Shout out to Kyler Gordon. Has had a really nice season for a rookie. Roquan Smith. Pay him. New England Patriots 3-3, 24 points a game. They're allowing basically 19. Their key players on offense: Bailey Zappi. I think it's still going to be Zappy time for the New England Patriots. No, Mac Jones back. Mac Jones will be back as the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. I'm not going to play up the graphic, just know that's going to be a thing. Ramondre Stevenson, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Henry, Isaiah Wynn, and Trent Brown. That is also the starting left and right tackle for the New England Patriots. Damian Harris practicing as well, should play in this game. Key players on defense: Matthew Judon, Kyle Duggar, Devin McCourty, and the Green Goblin, Jalen Mills. TJ, why did you pick this as your game of the week? What is...
First off, Devin McCourty's still playing?
Yeah, he doesn't retire. He just plays forever. I'm sure his brother is still roaming around the NFL too.
No, I'm pretty sure his brother's retired. Was it Jay?
It's for sure Jason McCourty.
No, Jason retired.
Oh,
Jason.
okay.
So yeah, okay. Shout out to Devin McCourty, still going
Yeah,
strong
yeah.
at how old are you? At 35. Wow.
I mean, they're twins. They're twins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Identical.
35.
Yeah.
You're both 35 years old. They just celebrated a birthday in August, so
Well,
good for
happy
them.
birthday. A reason I picked his name is because, well, obviously it's why everybody else is tuning into it. You got Justin Fields versus Mac Jones. You got two kids from the same draft class. They were There was a bunch of speculation surrounding both of them going into the draft, especially when San Francisco made that move to go from where they were originally in the draft all the way up to number 3. So it was pretty much like, is it Trey Lance? Is it Justin Fields? Is it Mac Jones? And why it should have been one of those three? And now we know who, like, how it worked out, right? The Bears
Hmm.
moved up. The Bears moved up to get Justin Fields. And we're all thinking New England's gonna miss out on one of these young dudes because they didn't move. They didn't move up. They didn't move down. They're just like, no, we're just gonna pray to the gods, plural, that Mac Jones is there on the board for us when our time is up, and thank the
Lo and
lucky.
behold, that's exactly what happened. Like we were all thinking that Mac Jones was going to be taken early. We thought the Patriots were going to move into the top 10 in order to draft him. That
Right?
never happened.
Never happened, and it's like, okay, so obviously, what you call it? It's what's frustrating about the Bears' offense is they are like top 10 in explosive plays. They're like sixth. So like big plays, they're like sixth in the league, which is crazy. But they're bottom half. That they're like bottom third in scoring, which is insane. Like they're sixth in explosive plays. They're bottom tier in scoring, but they're still a better offense than the Denver Broncos. Make it make sense. Uh, I'm not making
I
that up.
mean, they're a better offense than the Bears. I mean,
Like no. The Broncos have a worse offense than the
oh
Bears.
yeah. The Broncos have the worst offense in the league. They almost made this list, but they decided not to make. Not to, they didn't get a chance to make the list.
And
Um,
obviously, and New England is New England, bro. Like, yeah, it's Bill Belichick, it's Darth Hoodie, it's the Dutch, like, it's the evil empire. It's the Star Wars music plays when he walks to the podium. Like, you know what you're gonna get from Bill Belichick. It's like I guarantee you, after 30 years of doing football and covering him, I bet reporters are still just tired of the one word answers and the we're on the Cincinnati stuff and yeah.
Well, I mean, so the thing is, like, New England always finds a way to take away the one thing that you do well on offense. But, like, when it comes to the Bears, I'm not really sure what that is. So good luck, Bill Belichick, in taking away whatever that he thinks the Bears do well. I predict when we did the prediction show, I picked the Chicago Bears to win this game. I just think the Bears are going to get this game. Like they're due for one. A game where the offense clicks because on defense, I don't think the New England Patriots have all that good a defense. I mean, Kyle Duggar has been up and down his career. Jalen Mills is on his fourth team in 5 years. Matthew Judon has been okay as a member of the New England Patriots, but he's surely overpaid. This could be a game where the Chicago Bears have an opportunity to get this offense right against the New England Patriots.
and with the trade deadline approaching, obviously the Bears are going to be big sellers, or at least they should be. So some names to keep an eye on is one David Montgomery,
Robert
Ro-
Woods,
Robert
Robert Quinn.
Robert Quinn, Roquan. Even like you say, pay him. Like I'm with you. Hey, if you don't pay him, at least trade him and get some for him
Mm-hmm.
before you lose him for nothing. Um, it's he did a lot of, and by he I mean Bill Belichick. He did a lot of praising of Justin Fields because he knows the kid can be electric. All right, so if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm going to do my damnedest to try and contain him. All right, I'm his scramble plays, his ability to keep the play alive and keep that going. That's all. That's what Bill Belichick is going to try to kill. Lucas Patrick has come out and said that he knows the offensive line has to be better. Lucas
I mean,
Patrick is Lucas Patrick is on the offensive line.
I mean, all of those offensive linemen should know that the offensive line needs to be better. I mean, I don't think that needs to be that doesn't even really be said by any of those guys. But yeah, step up.
So like, no, and I think he said that because Lucas Patrick, like everybody hears what's being said about Fields. Everybody hears that. They read it. They see it. And you got some Bears fans out there that, oh, Justin Fields ain't it. He sucks. He's this. He's that. And Lucas Patrick is like, no, this kid is special. We have to be better so he can be better.
Those wide receivers need to play better. I mean, everything about the Chicago Bears just needs to be a level of better.
Better.
Yeah. To my game of the week, which kicks off here in about 30 minutes. We got the New Orleans Saints going into the big toaster and taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The New Orleans Saints 2-4, 24 points a game, 26 points allowed. Key players on offense: Andy Dalton, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, Chris Olave probably won't play in this game. I have not seen the most recent medical report. Ryan Ramczyk, Cesar Ruiz, who plays center for them. Key players on defense: Cameron Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu. And then Arizona 2-4, 19 points a game, 23.7 points allowed. Key players on offense: Kyler Brown, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Ertz, Kelvin Beachum, Eno Benjamin, DJ Humphries. Key players on defense: J.J. Watt, Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker, Byron Murphy Jr. I picked this game because this is a team of two teams that are kind of overachieving, in my opinion, this season. I thought the Saints and the Cardinals would be better at this point during their season. The Saints has been a wild roller coaster where you don't really know what they're going to be from week to week. Arizona, it's been kind of the same thing. That's why these teams are 12-2-4. But if the Saints, if they're ever going to get that offense going, this would be a defense to get it going up against. And it'll be interesting to see DeAndre Hopkins back as a member of the Arizona Cardinals after missing 6 games due to that suspension. But yeah, this is the game I picked. I mean, Cardinals, Saints kicking off in about a half hour.
Why?
Because this is two teams. Two teams are going up against each other that are underachieving. So I had the Saints as a playoff team this year. If you were to ask me that question again, there's no way I'd have them as a playoff team.
Hey, real talk. I think everybody had both these teams at some variation in like competing for.
I for sure had competing for a playoffs, but I didn't expect the San I didn't expect the Marlins to be this poor. Like I thought they'd be a lot better than this coming out the gates.
It's quarterback play, man. Like it's Jameis Winston can't stay healthy. Andy Dalton is what he is at this point. Now, I'm not saying Andy Dalton, all hope is lost with Andy Dalton. You know what you're going to get from Andy Dalton, right? Mm-hmm. Michael Thomas has played what 3 games in the last 2 years, right? Because so. It's unfair to judge them because it's like, damn, what are you? Right? Like what? Like, and obviously with Jameis, they probably would be 2-4 because we already know Jameis is gonna turn the ball over. Like that's just gonna happen. Jameis gonna give you 1, maybe 2.
Depending on the day. But I mean, this Arizona Cardinals offense hasn't been nearly as dynamic as people thought. And I think it's Cliff Kingsbury's for sure on the hot seat. If he doesn't know that he's on the hot seat, he for sure is. So this is a game where Arizona should win, and New Orleans, their defense also hasn't been all that good. I mean, they're giving up 26 points a game, and I never thought this New Orleans Saints defense would give up that many points. So this is an interesting game for me. That's why it's my game of the week.
Yeah, Arizona is. Especially, I mean, obviously, with no Hopkins for the first 7 games, 6-7 games, that's obviously a burden. No, not a burden. That's obviously a hole that you can't easily cover, right? That's 8 to 10 catches a game. That's anywhere from 90 to 150 yards a game. That's a very vague number, I know, and that's at least 2 touchdown passes a game. That's 14 points basically that you got to cover.
Yep. And Marquise Brown's done a serviceable job, but he's not DeAndre Hopkins.
He's not DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Who is though outside of him? Who like DeAndre Hopkins? DeAndre Hopkins literally walks like when he talks to other coaches and other coaches walk up to him like opposing coaches and they walk up to him and they go like, "Hey man, you're the best receiver in the game." He like, "I know."
And the Houston Texans gave him away for a bag of chips. To the final game. This is the prime game of the week, and it's a battle between two 3-3 opponents. The Atlanta Falcons going into Cincinnati, taking on the Bengals. Points per game for Atlanta, 24.3. Points against, 28 points per game. Key players on offense for the Atlanta Falcons: Marcus Mariota, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Kyle Algieri, Jake Matthews, Caleb McCary, left and right tackle for the Atlanta Falcons. And the key players on defense: A.J. Terrell, Grady Jarrett, Sean Evans, the former Tennessee Titan, and Richie Grant, who's cut himself a nice little career there as a safety for the Atlanta Falcons. To Cincinnati, who's 3-3. They're scoring 23 points a game. They're allowing 19. Their offense: Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Boyd, Jonah Williams, T. Higgins, the usual suspects as you all know them. Key players on defense: Eli Apple, Jesse Bates III, Sam Hubbard, and Trey Hendrickson, who used to play in the NFC South and used to be a terror in the NFC South. Now going up against the Atlanta Falcons, a team that he knows very well as being a former member of the New Orleans Saints. I just thought this game was interesting because Atlanta is probably not going to get that many shout outs throughout this season, and this is one of those games where Atlanta could be one of those games that Cincinnati kind of looks past Atlanta. But if you do, I think you're gonna find that Atlanta's been playing really hard under Arthur Smith, and it's a team that believes in their coach and believes in the scheme that they've been on. And Marcus Mariota is doing a pretty good job being the starting quarterback there.
Well, like I said last week, the Falcons are maybe one bad call away from maybe 4-2.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, not maybe a bad call. Like, no, that was a bad call. The Grady Jarrett, that was a terrible call. The maybe comes from all right, you stopped them, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get the touchdown to win the game. But either way, you're a bad call away from maybe 4-2, and that changes the outlook of the entire NFC South, right? Because now with the Saints at 2-4, right? The Saints are 2-4.
Yes, the Saints are 2-4. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-3, and the Carolina Panthers are 1-5.
All right, so if you win that game, you're 4-2.
You hold the tiebreaker over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're in the driver's seat for the NFC South. Yeah.
Right. And if you're Cincinnati, obviously Cincinnati. I said it. I said it at the start during the season preview. Like, there's a new standard, right? You can't have a new standard. Talk about there's a new standard and then underachieve. You're 3-3. You're coming off a Super Bowl appearance where nobody thought you'd even make it that far, and not much has changed. Your offensive line still sucks. Joe Burrow is still getting his ass kicked. The guy's going to be lucky to play a decade at this point.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
And if Atlanta, what's his name, Tyler Algier, he's done a marvelous job filling in for
Cordell Patterson. Yeah, so he has played pretty well for them.
Who is on his way back, by the way. So he's coming back.
Yeah, he's only on the IR. I think he only has to miss one more game potentially.
And he'll be right back in it. If you're Joe Burrow, I was trying to pull up Joe Burrow. If you're Cincinnati, I'm trying to pull up their schedule. If you will give me a couple seconds to do that.
What I got their schedule in front of me. What game is?
Because you said they might be looking past the Falcons, and I'm like,
they got the Brown. I mean, I actually doubt that. They go to Cleveland next week, and then they got the Panthers. They go to Pittsburgh. Their next really important game, I think, is when they go to Tennessee in 3 weeks.
And then
4 weeks. Then the Chiefs immediately after that, a rematch of the AFC Championship game. So maybe they won't look past the Falcons because they don't have their schedule after that is not that bad.
And I get it. This is the NFL, right? There, like we say, you're not supposed to look past opponents, and that because it's the NFL. Like, there's no quote unquote, there's no such thing as quote unquote an easy win at San Francisco. They literally came to Chicago, thought they had one, they lost. Right? They go to Atlanta. Oh, this is an easy win. They lost.
Yep.
Right. So.
And Atlanta has played every team they've played so far this season. They played them tough. So they almost came back and beat the Rams. They lost to the Saints by 1 point. They lost to Tampa Bay on that kind of fluky call.
Right, and the loss to the Saints came. What's his name? Younghoe Koo got a field goal kick blocked.
Yep, and they win that game. We're talking about a 5-1 Saint. We're talking about a 5-1 Falcons team. if things go differently for their team so far this season.
And I agree with you. Teams like the Falcons, teams like the Bears, teams like who's another bottom feeder?
I mean, Seattle's not going to be on primetime that much when people are not going to be talking about Seattle. The Lions are not going to be talked about all that much. I mean, the Commanders.
And that's why those teams get primetime games. It's not a lot, right? I think this is the Bears' third primetime game of the season. This is probably it. This is probably the last time we're going to see the Bears on a marquee in a marquee slot, because it is what it is, right?
Yep.
And
so shout out to Atlanta. Continue playing hard, but yeah, I expect Cincinnati to win this game.
Absolutely.
And that's been our week number 7 Prime Sports World Games of the Week. Let us know down in the comments section what games you're looking forward to this week. I've been David Huppin right there. It's Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We watch NBA basketball because the Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers are playing right now. And Joel Embiid's quest for an MVP is well underway.
100%.
But we bring the heat. We bring the heat.
Yeah, we bring the heat, and we'll be bringing you the crossover episode on Saturday, breaking down what we saw in the first couple games of the NFL season or the NBA season. We will also bring in you College Football Showdown. Sorry, is the show that airs tomorrow, hosted by the Prime Sports World CEO, Mr. Israel Rivera. We will see you guys all then. Everybody stay safe.
Another go talk. 2-part go talk. You do one, I do one.
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. Come over.
All right, man. I'll see you Saturday, buddy.
See you.
Peace, bro.